This here is a gaming PC that you can buy parts for right now, get to building and gaming, but also has a great upgrade path during today's 2021 GPU apocalypse. How do you ask though? Well, more on that coming at you guys right now. Alrighty guys, so as mentioned, this is a build that you can buy parts for, build, and game on, and just how well it'll game on we'll cover later on in the video, but we will cover all three of those aspects in this video. However, there is a bit of a drawback with this system that we'll cover and you might have already picked up on. So as you guys have noticed here, probably with me now sitting in front of the parts and talking, there simply is no GPU. And why? Because you can't find any. I can't find any. Nobody can really find any. There's nothing available. And if there is something available, it's GPUs that are priced 2, 3, 4x times their normal MSRP value. I can't recommend that, being a channel that's about budget building and giving an example of here's what you can go out and build and buy. I simply can't get behind that. So instead I thought, well, here is something I can get behind, something that I can recommend. Is it going to be the most powerful system in the world? No, but the thing here is that it's a system that is upgradable over time. So it'll be a good placeholder system for you to sit on while maybe sometime in the future, hopefully, the GPU market returns to normal. Anyway, let's get into the parts and talk about what we got here. Alright guys, before we talk about any of the singular individual parts here that we have here on the table, I also want to make mention that all of these parts here that you see on the table are available in the description below as affiliate marketed links that I use through Amazon. Definitely helps give a little bit of a kickback to the channel, so make sure you check those out. Alrighty, so since we are not using a GPU in this build, I figured we might as well lead off and talk about the CPU and or APU combination. So we have the Ryzen 5 3400G. This CPU is a CPU and GPU combination, all built in. That's what more commonly known as an APU, but this is a 4-core, 8-threaded CPU that turbos up to 4.2 gigahertz, but also has integrated Vega 11 graphics that'll turbo up to around the 1500 megahertz mark. It will consume a little bit of system memory, so that's why we've opted to go with 16 gigs, which we'll talk about here in a moment, but this should do plenty well in terms of some light 1080p gaming. We're obviously going to put it through its paces and see what it can do. So next up we have the motherboard, which I opted to go with a gigabyte motherboard. This is the B450M DS3H V2 model. I chose this motherboard mainly because it's really just an all-around great motherboard. It's not lacking in any major key features. It has 4 DIMM slots for future expansion, an NVMe slot, 2 PCIe expansion slots, and even some VRM cooling to support some mild overclocking or to support putting in a higher powered CPU in the future. So choosing this motherboard, as I have in the past many times, mainly because it has a good value. There's tons of packed features in it for a budget motherboard, so it definitely ticks those boxes, and I think it'll serve us well again. Next up for system memory, we went with 2 8-gig sticks for a total of 16 gigs of T-Force Vulcan Z memory from Team Group. This is 16 gig kit clocked at 3000 megahertz. No, this is not insanely fast RAM, being 3000 megahertz. You could opt to go a bit faster for somewhere in the same budget range. I really wouldn't recommend going beyond 3200 megahertz, although, however, this is a cheap area to upgrade in the future. Additionally, too, with 16 gigs of RAM, that gives us plenty of buffer for games that we want to throw at this system, but more importantly, it gives us the buffer amount of system memory that the APU is going to require to run those onboard Vega graphics. All right, next up, let's talk about what we got here for storage, and what we have here is a NVMe drive by ADATA, and this is their Swordfish lineup, and this is a 250 gig drive. No, this also is not a super fast option. There's definitely faster NVMe drives out there. It's not super high capacity, however, it will get the job done. 250 gigs is typically my absolute bare minimum that I would recommend for storage options, yet it is enough to get Windows installed and most modern games. However, alternatively, if you're looking to play some games like Modern Warfare, Cyberpunk, though kind of not really games I would suggest playing on this type of build, but if you want to set yourself up for the future, go ahead and get a bigger NVMe drive, or alternatively, add in an extra 2.5-inch drive down the line to give you some extra future storage capacity. Up next for power, I ended up going with an Aries Game 500 watt power supply. This power supply has definitely been making a stamp on the market, and it's something I've used in some of my latest budget builds. I chose this power supply because it ticks basically all my boxes, being a power supply that delivers good clean power, has all black cables, and with 500 watts of power in our budget, there's more than plenty of power to get this system up and running. Though with 500 watts of power, we also have enough power in our power budget to go back and add in somewhat of a mid-tier graphics card whenever we can get our hands on something like that. All right, so then last part on the list here, we have our case, which is a budget option from Cooler Master. This being the Master Box series lineup. There's plenty of different other Master Box series, but Cooler Master makes a lot of really great budget cases in the Master Box lineup, and we chose to go with the MB311L ARGB. This case should be more than plenty for our needs. It has plenty of room for a micro ATX system build and also even upwards of ATX system builds. It comes with some neat features such as tempered glass side panels, a PSU basement, and some front ARGB 120mm fans. So I think this case really does pretty well for what we're doing here. We're obviously not putting together a super powerful system, at least not yet, right? Though it ticks all the boxes, being having a tempered glass side panel, some front ARGB fans, so pretty much works for us and it doesn't break the bank. Alrighty guys, so that covers the parts in full, and I think each individual component is gonna work pretty well together. We're gonna have a pretty good cohesive build. So what more to do than to get building, and let's start up that build montage. Alrighty guys, so build complete, and actually I think I'm calling this build the GPU Apocalypse build because it has a very specific purpose, meaning it's a build for, well, people who are looking to get gaming and there's no GPUs available to build a gaming PC, but something to definitely tide you over. And guys, I want to be completely honest with you. I wanted to create a build that was 100% repeatable so that way you guys can use it as a guide to get gaming now. And just a quick note too, just to stand by my word on that, I want to make mention that at the end of the conclusion of this video, which I'm recording the day before I release it because I'm kind of tight on time, all the parts that I have listed within this video are available in under $500. So then before we go guys too, I also want to mention something I kind of ran into as being something weird, that the memory sticks that I originally pointed out as what I was choosing to elect to build this build with, I was having some type of issue with. These two DIMMs are functional, but for some reason only in slot 2 of the entire motherboard. I don't get it at all. Luckily I had some Corsair LPX, actually same basic speed, 3000 megahertz, cast latency 16, which is exactly what these Team Group sticks are, but for some reason these won't work on this motherboard. And I've used Team Group before on a video, though slightly different speeds. I don't know what's going on, but I'll put some links to some alternatives for you guys because I don't want to steer you guys in the wrong way. Maybe it was just the luck of the draw. Maybe I got something weird in my case, being the DIMM sticks or the motherboard. I'm even on the latest motherboard BIOS. I don't know. Again, anyway, I wanted to point that out to you guys for full disclosure, full transparency of this build. But speaking of the build, that basically sums it all up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely give it a like on your way out if you did enjoy the video. Also check in the corner there. I have another video where I feature a build similar to this, though it is an OEM build, but another alternative to a system that you can go out, use and buy and play to get gaming now and not have to worry about the GPU market. Thanks for tuning into this one, guys. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.